9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Shockingly, broadcasting in the midst of a government shutdown. How is it that our lights are still on? That everything hasn't collapsed, that cats and dogs are still chasing each other? What is going on? I thought it was all going to end without the government. We're going to talk about that this hour. Who do you blame for this government shutdown? How long is it going to last? Bill, what's your over-under on this government shutdown thing?
I don't know, because I'm not certain that either side is really willing to compromise. I think they're playing a game of liar's poker right now. And my guess is my over-under right now would be 14 days. Only because...
14 days?
Yeah, that's my over-under. I think it could go as long as... That's where I would draw my betting line. Would be over-under 14 days. It could go... I think that's kind of the line of demarcation. Because I think we could easily... I mean, how often have we seen... Congress go, hey, we're going on vacation, even though this thing's coming up here, this vote that we've got that's mandatory, whole bunch of other stuff. The other part is I don't think that individuals will notice any impact until 14 days. And what I mean by that are especially those government workers that in the military, when those paychecks stop coming and those bills keep coming, that's going to be a change. I mean, we're asking people with TSA and that are doing the flight controls at the airports to show up without getting a paycheck. And I would just wonder in the audience, even if they were promised, hey, you're going to get back pay, how long would you personally have the ability to show up without a paycheck? Regardless of the promise of pay in the future, we're talking about your family budget now. How long could you go without drawing a paycheck until your family budget goes sideways? Because remember, your cell phone company, that grocery store, the utility company, your bank with the mortgage, your landlord doesn't care why the money's not in the account. That doesn't matter. So what's going to happen? That I think that's why I'm picking 14 days, because I think that's the time in which a group of people large enough will start noticing paycheck loss.
The December 18 to January 19 shutdown was 35 days. The January 2018 was 3 days. The October 2013 Barack Obama shutdown, 16 days. The December of 1995 to January of 1996, Bill Clinton, 21 days. I'm going 3 days. I think we have the attention span of a fruit fly these days. And so everyone will go, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then we'll move on. Some negotiation will happen. It'll work out. And then we'll move on and talk about something else next week. 3 days. I'm guessing the end of the week.
Hey, that would be nice if they can get their act together. And here's the question I've got. If it is 3 days, then every single person listening to the Jeff and Bill Show needs to ask a question. Why couldn't you asshats do this last week? If it took you 3 days to figure it out.
Fundraising emails. Bill Thorpe.
I know, but that's
we got to get our fundraising emails out.
That's the issue. That's the issue. Y'all that were elected were happier to go through this and create this chaos and uncertainty so that you can create political messaging and fundraising emails. Again, last time I checked, that is not why you were elected. Keeping the government open and functioning seems to be one of the lowest bars that you have for your job. Yet you're there and can't do it. And if they are able to get this thing hammered out in 3 days, why weren't you doing your job 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? If it's that quick.
this is all on the Democrats because the Republicans, it was just a continuing resolution. It's just we keep going, we keep going, we keep going. And Democrats are going, no, we see an opportunity, Mr. Thorpe, and that opportunity is to gum up with the hopes that we could get a little bit more for our projects. Oh, and if it doesn't work out, we can fundraise about how terrible the Republicans are. This is on the Democrats.
Just like it was on the Republicans last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. And then it was on the Democrats the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. And then it was on the Republicans the year you get the cycle. You get the cycle. We have created this almost as if it is an annual calendar event. In fact, what we need to do is create the Jeff and Bill annual government shutdown advent calendar. And that you can open up little pieces of chocolate that'll help you feel good as we head into the government shutting down, because we can predict this thing like a calendar. Whoever's out of power throws their temper tantrum and says, yeah. And this is, for me, this procedure and process is always invalid, regardless of who's in charge, regardless of where the politics is, because we've already passed the funding. We've already decided to do it. Now we're just deciding whether or not we're going to spend the money we've already agreed to spend. That's stupid. And neither party wants to fix it because both parties have the advantage to fix this when they're in power. Neither does because they want to be little, tiny, whining baby people when they're out of power. They want to be able to throw their temper tantrum and stop everything.
Baby
pox
people.
on both your houses. Well, I was going to say something else, but it would not have cleared the FCC. That was a last-minute change inside of my head. The word that was about to come out would have gotten me in trouble. So we had to change that on the fly.
Jason in Denver texting in, the Democrats will eventually cave and this will end in 12 days. Iggy saying, uh-oh. We're in trouble, Bill. Iggy has figured it all out. We are now just AI. Yes, the entire Jeff show is AI. All right, phone lines lining up. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now is time for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Wednesday morning, 61 and a little cloudy out there in Denver, expecting a high of 80 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
Hola, mi fellow Americanos, y bienvenidos al cierre de Schumer. That means welcome to the Schumer shutdown. We call it the Schumer siesta, right? It's the Schumer siesta.
That's Sean Farash, genius. Tens of thousands of federal workers are on furlough as a government shutdown has gone into effect. Rather than listen to politicians more, Farash.
He put the government on siesta, crying Chuck. And El Hakimo Jefe Jeffries, we used to call him Dollar Store Obama, until we realized he's worth far less than $1.
Social Security Medicare. That is so good. This dude has it down. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and the U.S. Postal Service will continue operating. FAA may have delays.
But they put the government on siesta to give illegal aliens your health care. We're not going to let it happen. I looked at both of them. I said, we're not going to let it happen. It's no bueno. I said, it's no bueno. They begged me. They said, but senor, por favor, please give illegal aliens the health care. I said, we're not going to do it. We're never going to do it. It's not going to happen. And they're also very upset about our big, beautiful sombreros. You look at them. These are the greatest sombreros the world has ever seen. We really have the best sombreros, and everybody wants one except Crying Chuck and El Hakimo Jefe Jeffries. They don't want one, but they're going to wear one when all is said and done.
Senator Schumer, can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Senator Schumer, can you hear me? I don't think Senator Schumer can hear me right now. Maybe the government shutdown included audio on Capitol Hill.
Yes, so we're going to reopen the government, and we will not give in to the demands of Chuck and El Jefe. We're not.
Oh, my goodness. That is so good. Victor Marks and his family came to Colorado 24 years ago, worked with James Dobson, and did an incredible job with mission work around the country and the world. He was on with the fellas last hour. He's running for governor in our jacked up state.
You know, we have 5 kids, 5 grandchildren, and 3 of my children won't move to Colorado because of just how messed up things are. So my bride and what we typically do, we made a decision not based on fear, ego, or convenience, and we said we either have to fight for the state and enter it in some capacity. And the one we researched and had people help us with, they said, if I'm going to make a change and keep the influence I have, I should consider running for governor.
Once again, that's Victor Marks. He'll make an official announcement tonight. DJT says an agreement with Harvard is close. 47 indicates that Harvard will pay around $500 million to settle allegations of anti-Semitism on campus and discrimination through DEI programs. He says that Harvard would invest the money to operate trade schools, and the final details are being negotiated by U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon.
Ms. Andrea, and my question goes out to Governor Cox. It's no secret that you and Charlie did not historically see eye to eye. There are multiple instances of Charlie calling you out for refusing to protect women's sports back in 2022.
The first turning point event following Charlie's assassination 3 weeks ago occurred last night at Utah State. The question was better than the answer from the governor of Utah. He has improved since then, though. So here's the rest of the question, just so you can hear it.
And even going so far as to say that you should be expelled from the Republican Party. Since Charlie's assassination at Utah Valley, you've seemed to change your tune about Charlie. How has Charlie Kirk's death personally impacted you?
Yes.
So he goes on, and great question and a great event last night at Utah State. Plenty of people just crushing Candace Owens, but last night she laid it all out on the line, gave a challenge. She's trying to find answers.
I'm going to state this, and I'm going to challenge Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright, okay? Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion could happen? It's a yes or a no.
I have not seen anything yet. Stay tuned. Baseball postseason underway. The Tigers took game 1 against the Guardians in the American League wild card. Cubs beat the Padres, first game in the National League wild card series with them at Wrigley. And the Red Sox over the Yankees, and the Dodgers beat the Reds. Jeff and Billy continue 59 in Centennial, 58 in Superior, 61 in Denver. Since we were talking about New Edition, I got to play it one more time. Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Beautiful weather to end September, and the first couple of days of October look pretty good as well. Mostly sunny to partly sunny. Temperatures in the upper 70s, lows tonight near 50, and highs 70s to the lower 80s for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Slight chance of an isolated shower or two today, likely dry Wednesday and Thursday. Weather's a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
The battle rages in Washington, D.C. over keeping the government going. As of midnight last night, the government is closed. Non-essentials, by the way. If you're essential, you still got to show up to work. Pay may be delayed. What's at stake here? Well, it has to do with some of the ACA subsidies. So Obamacare subsidies have been in place since the pandemic. Democrats want them extended. Republicans saying we'll debate it once we get the government going again, but we want the continuous resolution. Democrats going, no. You need 7 of us to keep the government going. We're going to use this moment to negotiate for the extension of subsidies for those with insurance through Obamacare. And Republicans making the claim that, well, this is because they want to continue to fund health care for illegal immigrants. Who do you believe? Whose side are you on? Who do you blame? How long is this going to last? Let's go to the phone lines. Ben Morrison. Good morning, Ben. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Well, it's adorable, Jeff, that you actually fall for those lies because it's complete and utter crap. It really, really is. That's bonehead logic. It really, really is. Do you want to know the actual facts?
Please give us the facts, Mr. Ben.
Yes, let's actually go over the facts. If you actually want to apply for Medicaid, Medicare, ACA, first of all, you can't do it as an illegal immigrant. There are some situations where you can, but they're very, very limited. Like if you have a green card, for example, you have to be here for 5 years. There's a couple situations where you can be a compact of the Free Association, which applies to the Marshall Islands, Palau, Micronesia.
Ben, what happens when an illegal immigrant goes to an emergency room?
Oh, I'm glad you asked about that. So there are some emergency medical spending deals that do come in. And do you know how much those apply to? 0.4%. And do you know how many of those? Do you know what that generally goes towards? Labor and delivery services. So 0.4% of Medicaid spending goes towards illegal immigrants. So you are talking about, you're making a fake issue.
I think the state of Colorado's in debt, Ben. I don't think it's a fake issue. And part of it has to do with our health care spending on illegal immigrants, as well as education spending. So this idea that Medicaid doesn't go to them is just not true. And the only reason that they're using the emergency room is to give babies or give birth and have babies, this isn't true either. We're spending a lot of money. Denver Health, for instance, can barely keep its doors open because such a huge percentage of its money is going to illegal immigrants.
Well, you know what? You're required as a hospital to give health care to any person that walks in. So if you have a heart attack or anything like that, it goes in. And that's not something that comes out of ACA funding or anything like that. It's something that just goes along. So those costs
something that just goes along. Where's that money coming from then?
It gets passed on to us through premiums. That's where that comes from. Like if I'm dead on the street, like lying down there, like if I got a gunshot wound, an ambulance is going to come pick me up, whether I have health care or not. And they're going to pick me up, drive me over to hospital, and whether I have health insurance or not, they're going to pay for it, out of can't pay for it. And then that's something that the hospital eats, and then that gets adjusted into other people's premiums for their health insurance.
So the budget issues that the state is facing have nothing to do with illegal immigrants, whether it's education or healthcare.
No, they don't, because you know what? They're not eating up Medicaid spending. That's not where it's coming from. It's
Ben, the cities of Denver spent $356 million on illegal immigrants. $356, now it's $200 million in the hole, and they're firing Denver employees. You can't say that it's only passed off on premiums. No, it's that actual dollars coming out of the city, coming out of the state, and coming out of our federal coffers to provide these services. But let's get back to the actual closure of the government, right? Why don't you blame Democrats for using this moment to argue for more Obamacare subsidies rather than just keeping the government going? They're the ones who are seizing the moment and causing this problem.
Well, Jeff, if you actually knew how the healthcare system worked and weren't kind of a dope, you'd know that when you're starting to do premium bases, and like I have a girlfriend who's an actuary for a major insurance company.
Now, hang on, Ben. I'm going to ask you, Brian, hang on a sec. I'm just going to ask you to hold the personal insults back a little bit more. We can have a very fair, understanding discussion without hurling the personal insults, please. I'm just asking you, just please refrain from that. Now continue.
All right. Now, when you're actually setting prices for things, you need to know that when you're setting prices, you need to know what's going on for the year. That starts November 1st. That's when open enrollment starts. So saying we're going to go 7 weeks out, that doesn't work. You need to know by November 1st what's actually happening with the ACA markets. And this also affects private insurance. It affects everybody else. So
yeah,
there's
but they could have this conversation without shutting down the government.
No, they need to have it done before. They're talking about a continuing resolution that's going to go into the middle of November. So that doesn't work. You need to know before November 1st.
But
do you not understand that?
Yeah, but you can have this debate about subsidizing ACA without shutting down the government. Like, why not pass a continuing resolution and then just go run bills as Democrats and have this debate about subsidizing ACA? They're not. It's not necessary to shut down this government to have this debate.
Because it's urgent and you need to have it done before November 1st. What's so complicated about that, Jeff? What do you not understand about that? It needs to be done before November 1st.
So, there's only one bill. Too. There's only one bill that can be passed between now and November 1st.
I'm not saying that, but you have the leverage right now to do it. And you know what, Republicans?
Yep. I mean, you just proved my point. It's a leverage issue. It's a leverage issue. So it is the Democrats that are shutting down the government in order to try to force an issue, and they're using their leverage. So this is on the Democrats.
No, it's not. It's on Trump. He's a bozo. He's an absolute bozo. And like, what is his reason for not doing this? What is his reason for not doing this? He wants to fire people. He wants to fire people from the Fed that he doesn't agree with. That's his reasoning.
Okay, so Ben, even if I grant that to you, let's say that that's what Trump wants to do, and the Democrats are going to use this. Who blinks first?
Hopefully Trump, because he's on the wrong side of the moral platform here. Democrats are basically trying to make sure that insurance rates don't increase for most Americans. There's 20 million Americans that are on ACA. And then even if you're not on ACA, your premiums are looking at increasing. There's companies like Kaiser that are looking at a 12% increase. There's a couple of others that are pretty major insurance companies that are looking at a 40 to 60% increase. And if this doesn't go through, you are looking at increasing your premiums.
And Ben, if this is such a big moral issue, it can't stand on its own. It has to be wrapped into as you pointed out, a moment of leverage for the Democrats.
It should be.
So you guys are willing to shut down the government on this?
I think they should shut it down over this because you know what? They do have the right. They're on the right side of this. They really are. Trump's not.
All right, Ben, I think you proved my point. This is something that's run by the Democrats in order for them to seize leverage. Whatever great thing they think they're doing, they're taking the moment to force the government to be shut down in order to achieve what they think is this great thing. I think it's funding for illegal immigrants. But I think you just proved my point. All right, where are we at on time? I get so wrapped up I can't even look at the clock. That was fun, Ben.
That was really
Thank you.
That was good.
Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971. Let's go to Joe in Arvada. Joe, good morning. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hello, Jeff, Billy. I think Ben just proved Ronald Reagan right. Liberals know so much that just ain't so.
It was fun. He's a good sport. But, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, he's intellectual like most of them. He just doesn't really have any common sense or world experience because if we follow his advice, everything will implode like downtown Denver.
Well, I'm sitting there listening to him talk about the no Medicaid dollars are spent on illegal immigrants, and I'm sitting there going,
"That's hilarious."
I'm sitting there going, "The state is out of money, the city's out of money. We're a sanctuary city and state.
But is that because of health care
we know
for
that a
illegals?
lot of money has gone." Both with healthcare and education to illegal immigrants. And so, yeah, it's part of it. But he made the claim that none of it is going. And then
what he did is he made the claim that illegals can't sign up to be covered under the ACA. But there are times, and that is true, and there are times, that's 110% true, regardless of the laughter, they can't sign up for it. There are spaces in which they are covered.
To sign up for
It's
them.
when they have, yeah, that's not how it works either. But again, I went back and I looked in 2023, 10% of those that were receiving care at Denver Medical Health were illegal, classified as such. And that's about 8,300 people, and they served more than 191,000 patients. So I disagree that the 10% of patients creates 90% of the deficit. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on the math, but I don't think that's necessarily how it's going to go. I do say it's a draw
Billy,
off of it, but I'm not certain that's the reason.
I think that you've got a statistics position available in the mayor's office, and Ben can be his support for radio and
yeah, that's okay.
Anyway,
so Joe, how long does this go, man? How long? What's your over/under? If you're going to set the line, what is it?
It's very simple. The reason this was done, and I think Trump is in complete control. This is a chess maneuver. Listen up, lefties. We are about to let go of about 100,000 worthless humans working for the government. Worthless humans. And they are all going to, of course, scream and cry. We're going to have all kinds of media outbursts on how terrible it is. But about 100,000 useless individuals are going to be fired. You're fired. You got it? Get the box.
Is that going to be
and beat it?
Joe, do you think that's going to be a winning message for the Democrats, especially going into the midterms? Joe, hang on a second.
60% of us humans, real humans, Billy,
Joe,
are for that.
I know, but hang on, you missed my question. I was saying a winning message for the Democrats going into the midterms, not for the Republicans. Do you think this could be a winning message for the Democrats?
Ben and the crowd can all whistle to each other and yell and scream and cry, but nobody on our side will be listening, and nobody that has a real job will be listening because real people will love it.
I'm not certain about that one, and here's the reason why. And again, I'm not sure the Democrats are clever enough to understand the messaging inside of this shutdown. But if I was at the table, my advice would be to frame this as the Trump administration is willing to fire working class people in order to ensure that other working class people can't afford health care. That's the core of the message. Because you're not firing.
The message is
not
simple.
Firing.
Illegals
they're not,
cannot have health care on our back.
They don't get it right now. They don't get it right now, Joe.
Worthless human beings that are riding comfortable in the administrative offices of the government, pack your box.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the idea. That's the issue, Joe, that I was asking about, is the idea that they're going to be firing all these worthless government employees. We saw how that worked out through the Doge. That didn't really. Things turned on Doge politically very quickly.
Doge.
I know.
This is just the culmination of Doge.
Joe, that's kind of my point. Doge,
Yes.
Doge became a drag.
Thank you. Everyone is for it,
No,
except
it became
those
a
who
drag.
know
It became a drag
so
on the administration.
much that just ain't so.
Joe, it became a drag on the administration politically. It became a drag. It did. When's the last time we've heard about Doge cuts and Doge focusing?
Your
It was a drag.
statistics and all of your bunk is not going to move common sense of normal Americans. Listen to that show this afternoon, Billy. Common sense for the American people.
All right,
Yeah.
Joe Arvada, appreciate the call.
Firing the workers to take the health care from the workers. It's going to work out well. But
Joe's
I don't
line
think
will
the
be
Democrats
open.
are smart enough.
303-696-1971. Phone lines are hot. We'll get to you. Text messages even hotter. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
since October 1st. No deal on a continuing resolution means that the government has shut down. Federal government. Non-essential employees may face some furloughs. Essential employees may have to go without pay. How long do you think this is going to last? Will it affect you directly? Who do you blame? Let's go to the phone lines. Mary in Wyoming. Good morning, Mary. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. The reason I called in was to share that the Republicans are pushing for a constitutional amendment to dock the lawmakers' pay during government shutdowns. I think that we've all been we've been talking about it, but I'm finally glad to see someone want to do something about it. And then I have one more little small comment.
Yes, please.
Okay, the other comment is that you have a show on this trucking, on trucking at late at night. And Bill, it's interesting because when I first heard it, I went, "What the hell is wrong with KNUS?"
Yeah, it's normally my thing.
However, I'll tell you, if I was running for office, I would have somebody on my staff be listening to those guys. They're talking about the things that are generic to what our concerns are. They talk about how the tariffs are really impacting, especially the freight. This thing regarding the non-speaking, English-speaking drivers, how those carriers are now being targeted because they were the ones that were doing the hiring, and then of course the schools that were issuing the CDLs.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of really base information that I'm not getting on the left nor the right as far as that. They're talking about how it's the rubber meets the road. Right now it's been about the insurance and the issue. So I mean, they could get some real good knowledge about that. But like I said, I think it's great that the Republicans are pushing for a constitutional amendment. I wonder if they're going to join in or if it's going to be like Pelosi in the stock market, that you're not going to get any movement to get it undone.
Yeah, I don't think, at the end of the day, I don't think it goes anywhere. It's a nice little thing that gets thrown out there, and kudos to the member who launched that little press release that I'm not going to take any money until this, and in fact, none of us should, and we should pass a law. But it's like asking people to vote on a pay cut.
It is.
It's just never going to happen.
And Mary, it's a great idea, and I wish that there would be more people inside of Congress that would get behind that. And it's the example that I have. We've been talking a little bit about the ACA and healthcare insurance, and I have said from day one that if you want the Affordable Care Act to function properly, you make every member of Congress have to buy their insurance through it. If you do that, it's fixed tomorrow. That's how easy it would be. Yeah.
They get Walter Reed and all the rest of that for, I mean, what, $76 a month?
Yeah. You want the ACA to work, that's how you do it. That's exactly just like if you want the government to stop shutting down, you pass a constitutional amendment saying you don't get your paycheck if the government shuts down. And I'm not talking about we're going to reimburse you later. You lose that money forever. Every day that it's not there, we're going to...
That's what the constitutional amendment is about.
And unfortunately, we are going to put on our jerseys, look at the scoreboard, and decide this based on what team we're playing for rather than what's good for the American people. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks.
Mary,
thank you.
Mary,
thanks,
appreciate
Mary.
the call.
You.
Thanks so much. 303-696-1971 is the phone lines. Let's go to Mr. Francis in Golden. Good morning, Francis.
Hey, Francis.
Hey, guys, how goes it? I wish I was out golfing today. It's going to be freaking 80 degrees out on the first day of October. Yeah. I know. Anyway, hey, Jeff, I've got to say, I think Ben and Billy have the healthcare component of the illegal immigration issue a little better surrounded insurance-wise. I don't think Denver Health certainly loses money providing care to illegals, but it's not anywhere near what you would think it is. And
the state of Colorado, it's $100 million.
Well, okay, on healthcare, I mean, I could see that perhaps. I don't know. I have to parse out what's healthcare versus anything else. I mean, there's no question that illegal immigration is, of course, a huge drag economically, but for a whole lot of other reasons, not really healthcare. And Ben is right that what Denver Health does, and the reason it is one of the reasons it's so difficult to keep moving, is because it's uninsured, just uninsured losses in general, not necessarily illegals, although they are generally uninsured. And it is passed off through premiums for insured losses. The trouble is, most of the people they treat are Medicare and Medicaid, and their reimbursement rates are so low, it's hard to stay open. That's really the fundamental problem. And I wish Republicans would just have enough sense to not touch the healthcare issue. Billy has the absolute correct solution. If you want the ACA to actually have a chance, make everybody in Congress have to use the ACA, because it could work. The only reason I say this is that I don't see how healthcare can ever be fixed without having a single payer system with rated reimbursement rates and capped, some sort of capped or care paths for different ailments that have to be followed. Otherwise, it simply isn't going to work, because there's really no competition in healthcare. If I go to one orthopedic doctor, he's doing the exact same thing the other orthopedic doctor is.
And remember,
it's the
the
same thing
orthopedic
with the
doctor.
dermatologist
And
or
remember
anybody.
that the orthopedic doctor you can choose is not based on your evaluation of the marketplace or needs. It's based on who your employer tells you you can go to.
Correct. And
Insurance.
so
Insurance.
I
They all do the same
want to
thing.
raise this, Francis and Bill. You have so much regulation, you have so much interference into the healthcare market at this point that it's either tied to your employer or it's tied to the government. If it's tied to the government, it's got to be subsidized, all that stuff. Healthcare costs are way outside of the other traditional goods and services when it comes to inflation. It's quite a bit higher, and it's getting more and more and more expensive. What out there, anything out there, has gotten cheaper when the government subsidizes it overall?
I would say probably nothing, but I'm not talking about subsidies. I want it
But that's
regulated.
the ACA. That's what the fight over the closing of the government's about.
Yeah, I want to jump in here, Francis. So the issue being that healthcare costs did not start rising because of the ACA. Healthcare costs were spiraling out of control without it. So without this large government subsidy in healthcare, prices were already spiraling and becoming unaffordable. But we had other wonderful
But it's
features in
gotten
the system.
worse
I
since
disagree.
ACA. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the list of the healthsystemtracker.org. And yes, it was separating from all goods and services with regards to inflation prior to 2008, 9, 10. That was 2009 was ACA?
Yeah.
But it's gotten, the gap has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger since.
Okay, and the government subsidy has been diminished since then. Remember, we've been cutting the ACA subsidies almost since the day it was passed. So the idea that the government has been spending more and more, it's been curtailed. The government subsidy, that's
that
the
might
argument
be
here.
I'm not sure about that. That might be
No,
ACA, but the idea that we're cutting Medicaid and Medicare spending?
Oh, no, but I'm just saying the subsidies. And so the idea, but you're saying that's because the government is subsidizing. And what I'm just saying is in this one area where the ACA, again, okay. Let me start at Jump Street here. Let's go back. When we're talking about when the ACA is passed, if we're saying that once the government started doing this, it created this spiral of healthcare costs getting out of control, what I'm saying is the subsidies that are going to the ACA have constantly been cut. They've been constrained. That's what the argument is over this time, is that we have funding cuts to the ACA. That's what the Democrats' main gritch is
In the big, beautiful bill.
Yes. And so what I'm saying is, yes. So what I'm saying is laying it at the feet of, because government spending, this is spiraling out of control, I disagree with. There's a whole heck of a lot of profit taking on the other end, in part because medical care is needed and necessary. So you are a locked consumer. That's part of the reason you can't get out of the cycle.
But it's the same thing with education. You find something that you believe is necessary for a human being to have, education or healthcare. The government comes in, it becomes artificially inflated in its costs. That's why college is all of a sudden wildly more expensive than it was 50 years ago.
Unfortunately, the rest of the developed world disagrees with us because of the percentage cost increase they've seen. And so we are the outlier. We pay more and get worse results. And that's what we need to examine.
I'm not sure
system.
Canada's got great results.
But again, we pay more, and per capita we get worse
Go
results.
ahead, Francis. Final word.
Well, no, the one word I was going to say is that my old roommate was one of the few Democrat senators who didn't vote to shut down the government. Yay! So I had to throw that in there.
Hey, that's nice.
I was proud to see that she didn't.
Who is that,
Hey,
Francis? Who is your old roommate?
Catherine Cortez Masto. So she's not a hanging from the rafters Democrat. I mean, she's in kind of her state is, she couldn't be. She wouldn't be elected.
Oh, very cool.
Now, okay, Francis, I got this for the Jeff and Bill show for a second. This is what's cool about this. This is a great example that you have for us here. The Democrat that you just talked to us, your old roommate that voted against the government shutdown, none of us knew the name on the top of our head because she's in a place in which she has to be reasonable, closer to the middle, and compromise. She's not allowed to be a lunatic. She can't go out there and go, blah, 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 which again, for me, shows part of the problem inside of our politics. We are rewarding the people that are the most extreme with the most attention. And then we wonder why stuff's broken.
And she's the senior senator from Nevada, by the way. All right, Francis,
Thanks,
thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's been a fantastic show. Lots of debate. The government shut down. How does it affect you? Who do you blame? How long will all this last? Plus, Victor Marx joined us. He's making a big, major political announcement tonight at the Boot Barn Hall in Colorado Springs. Like 1,000 people have RSVP'd. It's going to be hot. It's definitely shaking up the Republican primary.
Yeah, it is. And I hear that just, to honor some of the division inside of the Republican Party right now, part of the announcement is going to be inside the Boot Barn. The other half is going to be outside in a pickup truck bed in the parking lot yelling at people.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody who remembers that one. I love you guys.
Different Boot Barn, but yes, the Boot Barn parking lot.
Yes.
Oh, it's a circus. It always is. If you missed any of it, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. The Charlie Kirk Show is up next. We'll be back tomorrow. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
It's Wednesday. We're